the Vijayanagara Empire was at its peak in Hampi. It represents one of the significant temples in Hampi during the Vijayanagara era. It is believed to have been a popular temple in the ancient days where the people of Hampi used to worship Lord Shiva religiously. The Chandramaleswara temple represents the Vijayanagara style of architecture. The temple architecture contains features that are similar to those found in several other large and small temples of Hampi. Like many other structures in Hampi, the Chandramaleswara temple was also built with huge blocks of stone. The temple has large ornamental pillars made from cube of stones. There are big arches and stucco figures. The walls of the temple have been decorated with elaborate carvings. The massive doorways and the carved ceiling are other significant features of the architecture seen in the Chandramaleswara temple. Chandramaleswara is a combination of three words: a circumflex uro, Chandra, which means moon, Mali, which means crown of hair, and Iswara, which means Lord. Thus, Chandramaleswara means the Lord who wears the moon on the crowned hair. It refers to Lord Shiva, who has a crescent-shaped moon sitting on his hair. The Chandramaleswara temple is among those structures in Hampi that has been ruined due to the forces of either man or nature. The ravages of time, weather and man has caused the loss of beauty of this lovely temple. The Chandramaleswara temple is situated on an island. It stands on a sandy terrain, as compared to the hard and rocky terrain of Hampi. The place contains a large amount of loose sand that has been deposited on the island due to the river confluence at this area. Due to the shifting sand, many parts of the temple and its compound walls have been reduced to a sorry state of crumbling stones. Huge pieces of stone blocks and some collapsed parts of the temple can be seen lying scattered in and around the temple compound. The ruined temple has been selected as one of the structures where restoration work has to be carried out. The temple has been restored to a certain extent by the Archaeological Survey of India. Though it is still a structure in a semi-ruined state, the temple has regained some of its lost beauty due to the restoration works. One thing that still appeals to any tourist who visits this temple is its beautiful location and the calm atmosphere surrounding the ancient shrine. The Chandramaleswara temple is among those structures in Hampi that has been ruined due to the forces of either man or nature. The ravages of time, weather and man has caused the loss of beauty of this lovely temple. The Chandramaleswara temple is situated on an island. It stands on a sandy terrain, as compared to the hard and rocky terrain of Hampi. The place contains a large amount of loose sand that has been deposited on the island due to the river confluence at this area. Due to the shifting sand, many parts of the temple and its compound walls have been reduced to a sorry state of crumbling stones. Huge pieces of stone blocks and some collapsed parts of the temple can be seen lying scattered in and around the temple compound. The ruined stones. In the ancient times the whole hill was fortified with tall stone walls. Traces of the ruined fortification can be seen even today. The top of the hill is a stretch of rocky sheet that is almost flat. All the temples dotting the face of the hill are hundreds of years old and represent a historical era of art and culture. The architecture of the temples on the Hampi hill is quite different from the typical Vijayanagara style of architecture found in many other temples in Hampi. The Hampi group of temples have a distinct style of their own. These temples are often mistaken for Jain temples due to their architecture, which is in some ways similar to that of the Jain temples. As such, they are sometimes mistakenly referred to as Jain temples. The Hampi group of temples are compact triple-chambered structures with pyramid-like roofs made from granite. Some of the temples located on the northern side of the hill are built in the tricotacular style of architecture. In this style of architecture, 3 shrines are placed in perpendicular position to each other, face a common central hall. The temples have almost plain outer walls, except for the horizontal chain of floral motifs that provide some ornamentation to the walls. There are more than 35 temples on the Hampi hill. The largest and most elaborately decorated temples are situated on the northern side of the hill and face the Virupaksha Temple compound. On the way to the southern side of the hill is the ancient or the original Virupaksha Temple, also known as Hindu Virupaksha Temple. Though not as grand as the one built by the Vijayanagara rulers, the Hindu Virupaksha Temple represents a style of architecture that was popular before the Vijayanagara style came into being. There is a small pond in the courtyard of the temple. It is one of the few ancient temples which are still under active worship. Further south, one can get an aerial view of the Krishna temple, the Sasavkalu Gansha, the temple of Lakshmi Narasimha and the Bhadevailinga temple. We have taken the motorcycle and moved to Lakshmi Narasimha temple. It's a muddy road. A few other vehicles of domestic tourists were also there. The Lakshmi Narasimha statue is one of the most imposing sculptures found in the ruined town of Hampi. The speciality of the sculpture is that it is the largest monolith statue in Hampi. The statue is located on the southern side of the Hampi group of temples that stand on a Hampi hill. This gigantic stone structure is considered to be among the most important monuments found in Hampi. It is a major tourist attraction and is visited by a large number of people throughout the year. The Lakshmi Narasimha statue and the temple housing the statue were built in the year 1528 AD. It was constructed during the rule of Krishnadeva, one of the greatest rulers of the Vijayanagara Empire. The temple is dedicated to Lord Narasimha, one of the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu, and goddess Lakshmi. As such, the temple is known as the Lakshmi Narasimha Temple. The original sculpture had a small figure of goddess Lakshmi, consort of Narasimha, sitting on his lap. The gigantic statue was vandalized and mutilated in 1565 AD during the raid by the Mughals that led to the fall of the Vijayanagara